Breaking news, a late day decision from an appeals court overrides a judge's ruling that gave restaurants the green light to reopen. We're live now with reaction to this major development. Plus, it's a 500-year-old Filipino tradition. In our Season of Hope, we look at how a local church reorganized a staple of Filipino culture to make it pandemic safe.
ABC 10 News starts now with breaking news.
That major breaking news, San Diego County restaurants were barely open for a day before a court ruled they had to close once again. Good evening, I'm Steve Atkinson. Kimberly Hunt has the night off. The court issued a stay after the state appealed a judge's decision to let strip clubs and restaurants remain open for on-site dining. As ABC 10 News reporter Rachel Bianco tells us, this comes after the county announced it would join the state's appeal.
While restaurants across San Diego welcome back customers, Supervisor Nathan Fletcher took to social media Friday to make a plea to the public.
You have to make an individual decision and choice. You can't count on the enforcement, you can't count on the courts. You have to count on each other.
Any enforcement came to a screeching halt when a local judge ruled that restaurants and businesses with restaurant services can remain open during the governor's regional stay-at-home order. The ruling allows 2 local strip clubs to stay open while their case moves through the legal process. But in a move that surprised many, the judge confirmed it includes all restaurants.
I practiced law for many years. I am a professor now. I really can't think of another instance where I've seen that kind of order.
When a judge comes out and says, I don't see a link between restaurants and COVID cases, and I think that the judge is fundamentally wrong, and I am confident that it will be overturned on appeal.
The ruling also includes Dr. Wilma Wooten's own words, saying in part, quote, "In the absence of such evidence, Dr. Wooten's representation that penalizing sectors like restaurants and gyms for the case increase is wrong resonates with the court." Fletcher says it's not about punishing anyone.
If we let it rage completely out of control and we collapse our entire healthcare system, the negative impact to our community and society will be far greater than the negative impact of the steps we're taking to try and avoid that situation.
Rachel Bianco, ABC 10 News.
All right, so all of this is just happening. It's very fluid. Supervisors Nathan Fletcher and Jim Desmond, they just released separate statements. Fletcher says, in part, this is the right decision to protect our communities given the severity of cases and hospitalizations we're experiencing here in San Diego County. Jim Desmond, who has been very conservative on this issue, said today's decision to close restaurants one day after they were allowed to open is tragic for San Diego's workforce. The seesawing of people's livelihoods 1 week before Christmas is devastating. Restaurant workers across our county, they returned to work today with hope, but now this new order adds more upheaval to the restaurant business. Our ABC 10 News reporter Anthony Pura is live in Little Italy with what's happening right now. Anthony, it's got to be very confusing.
Steve, I can tell you that the decision caught restaurant owners off guard. At least the timing of it has been a little bit of a surprise to them. I can tell you we came down here to Nolita Hall in Little Italy tonight to cover the reopening. They actually opened their indoor and outdoor dining areas at 4 o'clock, and you can see they already have people on the tables and they've been serving them. I actually had to break the news to the manager about an hour and a half into their reopening. They've been so busy, they didn't hear about the news of the ruling. The manager said simply to me they need to look into it a little bit more, but say they do plan to follow the rules. Now, I have been in contact with other restaurant owners. Many of them have been hearing about this appeals court decision. Many of them telling me that they have to process it, read it a little bit more before they decide what to do next. Others just simply telling me it is unfortunate. We're reporting live tonight. Anthony Pura, ABC 10 News.
Unfortunate and confusing. Anthony, thank you so much. So let's break it all down. We're once again joined by law professor Craig Barkas from the University of San Diego. He's here to help us make sense of all the developments this week and in the last couple of hours. Thanks for being with us once again, Craig.
Thank you.
All right, so explain to our viewers how the stay now overrides the judge's ruling from Wednesday to allow the restaurants to reopen.
Yeah, that's a great question. The Superior Court ruling was never legal precedent. Anything that takes place at the trial court level or Superior Court really pertains to that particular case. So until an appellate court steps in and really rules on an issue, it isn't really binding precedent. Now, there's no question when the judge made that Superior Court ruling, it stood for as long, it would stand as long as any other court, as long as no other court said otherwise. An hour ago or so, another court, an appellate court, and a higher court said otherwise. And here we are back to the restrictions being in place.
So there's a lot of confusion, of course, a lot of frustration. So what happens now, in your opinion? What should these restaurant owners and their employees expect going forward?
It's hard. It's hard to know because you've characterized it correctly. There is a lot of confusion. Things are breaking very, very quickly. My sense is the appellate courts are likely to side with the states. This particular Superior Court ruling had really run in a different direction than what we had seen. So I don't think the appellate courts are going to look at an opening sympathetically. On the other hand, I think from a human standpoint, we're all looking at this situation sympathetically. The only thing I might see going forward is perhaps the restaurant owners could try to negotiate relaxing the standards to this extent to allow maybe outdoor eating. I mean, maybe you can't have anybody inside, but it might be, you may make the case that, look, please allow us to at least serve patrons outside if we follow all the protocols. I don't know that will go anywhere, especially in light of how bad the pandemic is right now. But that might be one path forward for the restaurant owners who I know are really hurting right now.
That really leads me into my next question, Craig. You know the lawyers for these restaurants are looking this over right now. Is there a way to find that balance legally? Can they prove that?
Well, you even raised a larger question. The states are in charge of protecting the health and safety of the citizens. And states, of course, are moving somewhat aggressively to do that. And California perhaps is moving most aggressively. At the same time, state and local governments are really hurting. But that money needs to come from the federal government. And if right now the state government is shutting down businesses, the federal government really needs to step up and give relief to state and local governments to help the people who are being hurt by the shutdown.
We need it more than ever right now. Professor Craig Barkas from USD, thank you so much as always for your expertise and your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, for the first time ever, here's the problem. San Diego's 14-day rolling average has hit 9%. That means the average number of cases we've seen in that time has done nothing but go up. The county also set another new record. This is the issue for new daily cases. Today it reported 3,611 new cases. That pushes our pandemic total to more than 120,000. There were also 14 more deaths reported. To date, more than 1,200 San Diegans have died from this virus. A second vaccine, though, is about to roll out here in the U.S. Late this afternoon, the FDA did give emergency approval to Moderna's vaccine, which is similar to Pfizer's in many ways. Both are about 95% effective based on trials conducted this year. The Moderna vaccine could arrive in San Diego here in just the coming days. Can't come soon enough. And a new app aims to help keep all of your vaccine information in one place. It's called Vac Mobile, and it's developers say that it stores all of your vaccine records on your phone. They say it's meant to make it easier to prove that you've been vaccinated rather than having to carry around papers to show employers and schools. All the information will be encrypted and stored in the cloud.
There's a HIPAA agreement, and you're essentially giving Vac Mobile permission to query the registry on your behalf. It's going encrypted straight from the registry back to your own personal digital vault, for which only you have the key. So it's your data. We're basically the vault, and we're the courier. We get it, we bring it back, but it's your information, and you've asked us to do this on your behalf.
Well, the developers do say they had been working on this app even before the pandemic because they couldn't keep track of their children's vaccination records while moving from state to state. To track the latest coronavirus developments, you can do so with the ABC 10 News app. You can find it for free in the App Store. The Downtown Convention Center will now stay open as a homeless shelter through at least March of 2021. Mayor Todd Gloria made that announcement just this morning. He said it's part of a continued effort to protect the homeless from COVID-19. The move is a reversal from former Mayor Kevin Faulkner's announcement at the beginning of the month that people in the shelter would be moved into city-owned hotels. Mayor Gloria intends to seek council approval of a financial plan and revised timeline, at least in January. CHP officers are trying to figure out why a pedestrian was walking on the I-5 this morning when they were hit and killed by a car. Sky 10 flew above that scene just after 9 o'clock this morning. The crash happened in the northbound lanes of the 5 at the southern end of Balboa Park near the 163. As you can see, 3 of those lanes, they had to be shut down. That caused gridlock in the late morning. CHP has not released any details about that person, including how old they were or whether they were a man or a woman. And the county is now warning dog owners of a bacterial outbreak that can seriously damage their kidneys. Our partners at KPBS report that disease is called leptospirosis. There have been nearly 3 dozen confirmed or probable cases since October, most of the time in Hillcrest or in Mission Hills. It is commonly spread through dogs, but humans can contract the bacteria as well.
Leptospirosis is spread through infected urine, and dogs come in contact with it with their mucous membranes or cuts on their skin. And so common places that we are going to see it here in San Diego are going to be the dog parks, dog beaches, and boarding facilities. So places where dogs are urinating and other dogs are potentially coming in contact with it.
All right, so if you have a dog, here's what you need to know. The symptoms do include fever, vomiting, diarrhea, and a loss of appetite. There is a vaccine for this disease. It's also treatable with antibiotics.